I just bought this completely non-functioning 1970s hovercraft for $300, sight unseen, on Facebook Marketplace. What have I done? All right, well, I know this isn't going to be easy. My plan is to lift it up with the jack, maybe put a couple more pieces of board on this furniture dolly if I have to, and then roll it off. Just tip the trailer up and let it slide off. It might go, because these metal rails on this trailer look like they are solids, so that's good, because all the bolts that hold this skirt on are not good. So this is me executing that plan of getting this thing off the trailer. When I messaged the guy who I bought it from, I said, hey, I can pick up a U-Haul trailer and head on over and pick it up. And he said, no, just use my trailer. And I thought he was being extremely nice. But when my son and I got there, we realized that when he was talking about how he loaded it, and he said he hooked it come along to the tree branch, and he lifted it up with some chains, got it onto this trailer, and it sat there for, I think, a couple of years at least. So the plan that I would grab another trailer was not quite going to work. We got there late at night, and just trying to switch trailers would have been an absolute nightmare, and it would have taken us hours. So I got this thing home, and I talked through the plans there, and I lifted it up. And at one point, I lifted the tongue of the trailer, and I tried to lift the tongue of the trailer up, and it wouldn't just kind of slide back. If I had maybe two furniture dollies and a way to lift up a little higher, that probably would have worked. So eventually I pulled the lawnmower around just off camera on the left, and there is there's a slot on the transom I thought about hooking the strap to. I didn't do that, so I hooked it to the metal frame for the engines, and then I hooked that to the lawnmower, and it was a small ratchet strap, so nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. Didn't need anything big. And then I hooked the truck back up to the trailer, and I pulled. And at one point, I don't know if the audio will come through and it's sped up here, but it made a heck of a scraping noise. I'll try to leave it in here for you, but it didn't sound good, and it almost tipped up. I thought it was going to tip over from what I saw in the truck, but it did okay, and it scraped a lot, but it didn't actually gouge the plastic of the body too much, so it turned out better than I thought. But I got it off, and it seemed okay. But there was, I could have asked for help. I'm quite stubborn. I didn't want to ask for help because if I had asked for help, I could put somebody else in danger, not just myself or the lawnmower or whatever, because, I wasn't standing near as I was pulling it out. But it came off the trailer and it's in pretty good shape. No, just one little crack at one of the bolt holes where the skirt is sandwiched, but there's plenty of cracks on that already. So just one more little section to fix. Otherwise, the rest of it is was in good shape comparatively. But yeah, it was this was a fun undertaking. But I got it off.
Well, I decided to just go full send. But aside from a few new scratches, which, yeah, not a big deal on this thing. I think I cracked this here, but this is a guy who I bought it from. This is his trailer. He let me borrow his trailer, and it's a pretty stout trailer, so it hood up. It stood up pretty good. Just a little bit of plastic in there, and that's about it. So yeah, I don't have another trailer for this, but my plan is to get the engines off first, take everything apart, and then it's going to be a couple weeks or a couple months even, get it up to the garage, get the engines running first, build a skirt for it, fix all this broken plastics. This is all broken anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm either going to, maybe carbon fiber over it, or just make long metal strips, and then maybe some aluminum strips, and there'll just be aluminum strips here to help with that, or just get huge washers, who knows. So as best I can tell, this is somewhere between a 1969 and a 1973, probably a 1970 or 71 Eglin Hovercraft. I'll go right to the model. It's an Eglin Hovercraft model 185M3. These are called the Hoverbug. This thing was made in Terre Haute, Indiana, by a company that didn't last much longer than 1973, and as you can see, it is not in any type of functioning shape, working order at all. Let's start with the good. Well, the good is the body is complete, except for that big hole there. I'll show you all the cracks and dings and stuff. This was listed on Facebook Marketplace for $300. My son and I drove last night. We got there in the dark. We looked at it with cell phone lights. I did not record any of that because it was in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't want to impede on the previous owner, but it's been sitting for a long time. So here are the previous stickers. And as far as I can tell, this Alabama registration is from the year 2000. So it looks like this has been sitting for 25 years. This was the last time it was on the water. And the guy said the last time it ran, before it was parked, it ran. Well, if it was parked 25 years ago, that is going to be interesting. So let's go all the way around this thing. Let's start at the front. So obviously we've got this big hole here, but what this does is show you how this skirt goes on. This skirt is, I'm sure it used to be more flexible than this. So obviously this flange used to continue across the front, and there were bolt holes here as well. And these bolts all go down through the body and the lower body, and they pinch this skirt on. And while I'm here, what you can see is it comes around, and then you've got these aluminum bars, and it's just a big loop. So all this is a big loop. So there's nothing special about this skirt, and I think from best I can tell, I can use fabric such as that, and I can make a new skirt for about 50 bucks. So that bimini material should work. So that's my thought on that. Both the lights are, they've seen much better days, let's just put it that way. Obviously, great opportunity to upgrade to LED. It's got a navigation light because this is basically a boat. I don't know if I'll find another one like that. Maybe I'll reuse it, put some new lights in there. I don't know. Can't get this open. This is a fuel filler cap. I'll get some pliers on there eventually. This is for a windshield wiper. So this did have a windshield. I think the only way it's going to get a windshield in the future is if I hand make a mold and bend acrylic. So keep an eye out for that. And then obviously this whole upper section actually got some good color down here. So you can see the red, it's still got some gloss there. But this whole upper section is going to need to be done. And I can't tell. I think it's supposed to be a fiberglass reinforced plastic, but I can't see any fibers from the fiberglass. But I think this will be easy to just fiberglass that up, and it'll be good as new. Maybe I'll have to put some aluminum strips along the top. So going around to the driver's side, we do have a bilge pump outlet here. So we got a through hole there that it's been holding water, so that's good. Let's keep going around here. What we do have down here are the holes. So this hole is what actually pushes air into the bag, and it comes from, jump right to this. So this fan will push air into this. There's one on this side and one on the other side, and this is what inflates the bag. So that is what inflates our bag and keeps air into the hover skirt. I guess skirt's how you call it. And there's back here on the transom, there's another like plastic. I think there's wood in there. There's some holes. I don't know what those holes are for, but we'll find out when we crack this thing open. Before we get to the mechanicals, continue around. Same thing. You can actually see the like dryer vent hose down here, where it probably runs from this tube to fill up the skirt. Let's go into the cockpit here. This whole seat lifts up and out, so I'll be able to get to more of the vehicle. This prop is definitely not for it. I've looked online, and it had just a single straight wooden prop with like a metal casing on the edges. So this did have a wooden old school prop back in the day. This 3-blade probably gonna go on the wall somewhere. Let's go on the other side because that's where you drive it from. Here's the, I would say this is probably the original steering wheel. I'm definitely going to replace it, but as you can see, the shaft is no good. It is no good. And there's some plastic here that ripped out of here. So it used to go here with the plastic. I think I can easily get a boat steering mechanism, maybe cover this whole thing with another piece and maybe carbon fiber it or something. We'll see. But we can do that. This hour meter says it only has 4 hours on it. People don't drive these a lot, so they only ever drove 4 hours on this. Who knows? Amp meter. Here we got the Rip'ems. That gauge has seen better days. And then a lot of switches down here that are just, as soon as you flip them, they're just gone. Here's the key. There's the key there. There was a key at some point. I think that's a key. Yep. And then switches. So you had the lift and the thrust switches, nav lights, wipers. I'm not sure what this one was for. This hole is for. Haven't found another gauge. so I don't know what that one went to. And then what is that? And then down here is the fuel tank. The fuel tank is right in the safest location ever. I'm sure it's just fine down there. Here's the pump to get the boat tank. Old boat. Oh, really? Come on, man. And then you've got throttle controls here that are completely seized up, so that's going to have to come out of there. Take a look at that. Don't know what this is from. It's from something. I don't know where that ever was, but yeah, this is the cockpit area. Pretty simple, pretty basic. I could probably either leave it like this or make a pad to sit on. But moving on to the heart of the matter. Here are, it's got these dual Rockwell J-Lo engines. For what I can tell, these were a pretty good production snowmobile engine, and they are electric start. They both got starters on them. They're look like the exact same engine to me. Best I can tell. I'll eventually tear them apart and make sure, but they look identical. The choke, I'm guessing this is a choke. They're completely seized up. All these wires they're so brittle. All the hoses and cables. None of the linkages on these carburetors work whatsoever. But it does have, looks like this aerator thing or something to keep water out, so that's good. That's definitely something you want to make sure water can stay out of. It is mounted in this frame here. The frame bolts here and comes across and up and over and back to this other part of the frame. For the most part, this frame looks like it's in pretty good shape. I can't tell if it's aluminum or galvanized or just painted steel. It's stayed, except for one spot, and I'll show you that. I don't know why this bolt's backed out. Can't tell, but it's free. Goes to something. What? I don't know. I'm guessing, looking at the very few photos I can find online, these are original little mufflers for it, because I'm sure these two strokes are extremely loud. Both of the pulls are completely pulled out. And it's got these flex tubes. So same thing on this engine, but what I didn't show you, this is it's free. The engines are free spinning. So that's good. And I'll show you this one back here as well. This engine spins freely also, and it's got some compression there. Again, of the few photos I did find on Facebook, some of them didn't have original these rudders. So these rudders they're jam solid. I did spray these turnbuckles, these knuckles down with PB Blaster already, but they're going to definitely need some heat. But they do look original. Shroud is original. Lots of originality with this thing. And it's definitely a good candidate to rebuild or even convert to electric? Question mark. So that's a thought that has crossed my mind. But this is what we're working with. I'll see if I can get some help and tip this thing up and take a look at the bottom, because what is very interesting is this goes straight through to the ground. So not only does it actually push air into the skirt to keep the skirt inflated, it also has like a ground effect and pushes air down and creates additional air underneath the vehicle. So I can tip it up since there's no fuel in it, and let's take a look. Well, it tipped onto its side way easier than I thought it would. So here is the bottom of this. Obviously, this shell, once I remove all of this stuff, I'm going to have to be extremely vigilant and ensure that it doesn't have any cracks in it, because it's going to have to float if the thrust to the lift doesn't cooperate. So it's got these aluminum feet here, and they're That's the only one that's not completely crushed. So I'm gonna have to look into that, put some different type of skids or something on it, but those aren't in too bad a shape. Well, I mean, they've protected the bottom of the hole is what I've said. I looked, somebody said look at the bottom of the hole. I don't see it here. I don't see anything on the back. Since this is under 10 feet, it's a little bit different of a recreational vehicle, so it's not a, doesn't have to be titled like a boat. So it may not have a hole identification number at all because of the size, because it's under 10 feet long, or it's under, I think it's 15 feet, not 10, but it's right around 10 feet long. So yeah, let me get this thing righted. Let's right this ship and discuss what's next. All right, guys, so well, this is where I need your help. I'm not going to be able to get to this right away, so it's going to take me weeks or months. It's going to be a good winter project. I've got a few other things going on, but once I do get to this, first thing I think I want to do is remove those engines, or at a minimum, pull the carbs off and get those soaking, maybe get an ultrasonic cleaner, get those cleaned up, get those freed up so we can put them back on, spray some ether in here and see if we can at least turn these over and get them to spark. That'd be good, but maybe we'll do that on a bench. Maybe I'll take the engines out, the motors. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the first step. And then obviously we need to get the linkages and all that sorted out. And then a skirt. So we'll see if maybe I can just do a few things, get the skirt, get that one, get these going, and then just get it to hop up off the ground. We'll see. Or it's just going to be completely blown apart and start rebuilding this thing, which is probably the smartest thing since everything is missing. But that's where I'm at. If this seems to be interesting to people and people watch a video and I can do what I need to do, I can buy 5 kilowatt 48 or 72 volt electric motors that'll bolt up here fairly easily with mounting plates and then put a LiFePO battery somewhere around here and make this electric. That would be very cool. But this thing also needs to be completely sanded, fiberglassed, fixed. Good thing is once you take all this stuff off here, you can do this like a piece at a time. So put it on some sawhorses and get working on it. But yeah, it's going to be a project. It's going to be a lot. So stick around if you want to see what happens to this. And maybe in a few weeks, the next project will, maybe in a few weeks, I'll do a project on this and you'll see these engines come back to life. And then this thing be torn apart and work begin to repair it. So thanks guys for watching. Like, subscribe, the bell, the free things. And we'll definitely catch you on the next one.